will have nothing done. And if your audience is a lot more, they're not paying attention to their ad as much as you think. So that's a big one. In media, so going with our 3 opportunities for text messaging. In media, make it the focus of the ad. So if you want them to text in for a coupon in your ad, make that basically the only thing you ask them to do. Make it big and make it large and make sure they can't miss it. If you're at an event and you're trying to get people to opt into your list, maybe you're a nonprofit, you're trying to get supporters, make sure the speaker talks about it. Try to have some handouts. Try to have big signs in places where people are congregating. Make it so they don't miss it, because if you've gone to the trouble of putting the campaign together, it would be a shame for somebody to miss it just because you didn't hand them a card or someone didn't tell them about it. Foot traffic. So we talk about an example. We were working with a museum who was doing this, and they were going to put a sign on the front door of the museum. Now, they didn't have sidewalk traffic. It's the front door, just people walking in. But you're walking into a museum, you don't have kids with you, you just don't have time to pull out your phone and stand in the doorway and text. So we told them, put them in your cafeteria, put them on the tables, put them where people are sitting and they have a chance to do it. So you really want to think about, with your foot traffic, where they're going to be able to get their phone out and do something.
Yeah, and I just to add to this too, Justin, I think it's important, it always cracks me up when you see, an SMS sign up or something like a QR code or something that you have to do, an action you have to take on, billboard on the freeway. It's obviously, as we know, it's probably dangerous enough to text while you're driving, let alone try to scan a QR code or text in, some kind of code. And so I think it's really important as you're thinking about this foot traffic concept too. Think about where people are, not necessarily sitting also, but also standing, and where they're walking by, a place where people can actively take out their phone. It's like I said, the SMS idea on the napkin is kind of in that gray area, because for the most part, most of the time people are on a plane, they're in the air. But something to consider definitely, that you want to make sure that promotion is somewhere where they can actively take out their phone and quickly text in something.
Absolutely. Yep. Big one to remember. Don't waste your time printing signs, putting them places where people can't pay attention to them. So, yeah, that's just to reiterate what you said. Don't expect someone to text you while they're walking or driving or whatever else they're doing. Promote it where they sit or where they can at least stand out of the way and do something. Cool. All right, DJ, take over with the welcome email. So that's just to reiterate for some people who've come on late, the idea is you're using text messaging to get that email address. You're asking them for it via text message while they're at your event or whatever it is. And now you're sending them a welcome email because they're a new email subscriber.
Yeah. Okay. So let's as we start into this one, I think it's really important to stress the importance here of a welcome email. And there's some research out there from ReturnPath. I was trying to find a study that's a little bit newer. In fact, I'm hoping that they do something newer. But this was from a couple years ago now. They said that 60% of companies in their study did not send a welcome message to new subscribers, and 30% failed to send any message at all within the 30-day study period. So they went out and looked at, signed up for a bunch of email lists from large companies, and this is what they uncovered. And a colleague of mine in the industry, Laura McDonald, who's at Silverpop, says that the 30 to 60-day period after opt-in is typically the most crucial to the email relationship. And I think it's just like it's the same kind of thing with SMS. If you opted into something, you are in the moment. You're living there. You're excited about getting, signing up for email from a company or to get SMS alerts. So that welcome email is so important. And if you go to the next slide, I think of this is how I think a welcome email should be. It should be welcoming you, literally welcoming you with open arms, and you should be smiling when you get it. And the person that's sending the welcome message should be happy and joyful and in a field of grass and all this stuff, as opposed to what the opposite of that, I guess, would be is this is what your welcome message should not look like: to angry girls. And so building on that, if you look at a couple examples here of what welcome messages look like, here's one that I got recently from Sprint. And we had signed up for Sprint, and you can see that the subject line there is "Sprint is waiting for you," the dreaded no reply at sprint.com. In fact, I just blogged about this whole no reply idea, and you can even see in the text there at the bottom, it says this email has been automatically generated, do not reply to this message. To me, that's the equivalent of those two girls with their arm crossed basically saying, hey, welcome, except we don't really want to hear from you and we don't really care about you. and don't contact us, whatever you do. In fact, it's funny, they say at the very bottom there, it says the contact sprint right to the office, right to Office of Privacy. I mean, let's be honest, who's going to do that? So this is what I would consider to be the two girls with their arms crossed compared to, drum roll, this one from Uncommon Goods. This, I mean, to me, there's a rose on there and a big, huge hello, and they're thanking you for signing up, and it's like, you know, at Uncommon Goods, fun is in the mix, and all these different things. They're setting expectations about how often you're going to get email. They've got some outbound links to share things with you to get you started buying stuff right away. They've got Facebook and Twitter icons. This is for another presentation someday, but they could do a lot more with those two icons as opposed to just slapping them up there. Justin and I were talking about earlier when we were preparing for this that they could also put some type of call to action to get you to text in your phone number to get SMS alerts, you know, maybe SMS alerts about new deals. But this welcome email to me is just a heck of a lot more inviting and more like the girl with her open arms in the field. And
yeah,
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, with those two icons, I mean, yeah, it's good that they put that there, but we've talked to a lot of clients, you know, again, you're using SMS to get them when they're at the event or when they're looking at your media. You're using email to get more from them. When you send them that welcome email, there's no reason you can't say, hey, thanks for coming out today. If you want to support our cause or if you want to learn more about our product, hey, go to Facebook because we do this. You go to Twitter because we do this. I mean, there's no reason you can't continue to ask for more engagement now that you've got their full screen and their mouse and they can pay attention and click on whatever you want. So you could certainly do more with those icons.
Yeah, I think that's a whole presentation of itself. It's just another example of what this, a more welcoming, if you will, welcome message is the next slide too. This one's from Red Mango, and this really plays into what Justin talked about earlier about whatever that kind of giveaway is. Or, I mean, I signed up for email from Red Mango, and you'll notice they automatically send a welcome message and then automatically put 50 points in my account. I can't remember now. I think there was probably some incentive like that on the actual opt-in. But you know, think about this. What if they gave me an iPad to sign up? I mean, that just doesn't, like Justin said before, this doesn't make any sense. This is very consistent. It gets me coming back to Red Mango, and it just makes a lot of sense. And again, very welcoming type of first email that I get from them. And what's interesting, if you go to the next slide, this actually, this whole thing was initiated by me going to the store. That's the reason that screenshot is kind of weird is it's actually me taking it. They gave me a text to opt in. And so I went through, this was literally right at the register as I was ordering. So you talk about foot traffic. I was waiting to order my frozen yogurt, and this kind of hit me in the face. And so I went right away, and you can see there I texted Mango 6, and I got a reply back already to, you know, thank me for joining. Now, in this case, they didn't do what we talked about earlier. Justin was saying about actually giving them a you know, coupon, or I'm sorry, asking me for my email address. So these were, in some ways, two separate campaigns. If you go to the next one, you can see, though, this is the type of email alerts that I do get even to this day from Red Mango. So again, I think there's an opportunity there for them to get an email address also, which they didn't do here. But I do like that they're using SMS to engage with me at this point. When you think about welcome emails, I'm going to share some stats and some quotes from a friend of mine, again, a colleague, Lauren McDonald. He says that you should think about welcome messages as an onboarding program. And I think that's really a new way of looking at welcome messages. You go to the next screen, a little bit more, if you want the full details of this post. It was something that Lauren wrote on Email Insider a couple months ago, and you know, the headline is "The Welcome Email is Dead," but really what he's talking about is thinking about the onboarding program, thinking about a welcome message more of an onboarding program. And a couple quotes he had from there, if you go to the next slide. You know, he says that if you're doing this as a series, it allows you to answer questions, to educate users, to set email expectations. And I think the fourth one is really one of the most important ones. Giving people options to create highly personalized experience. So based on what they click on in this welcome or onboarding series, you can start to funnel them into different segments. And ultimately, what we're going to talk about in a couple slides from now too is moving subscribers close to purchasing, if that's your intent, or signing up for something. So instead of just sending one welcome message, welcome to our program, and then all of a sudden just putting them in the regular funnel, you could do some kind of series like this. Email has always been talked about. The analogy is like a dating relationship. I mean, you don't go on a first date and then propose to somebody, although I do know people that have done that successfully. But those are certainly the exceptions. You want to move people down the funnel just like you would with any other marketing channel.
Yeah, and I really like that. The welcome email, it doesn't have to be this generic, hey, you're joined, you're confirmed. It doesn't have to be a confirmation email like in the case of Sprint, that it can actually be welcoming them and getting them involved more. I think that's a really good point. The Sprint one fails kind of just because it's, hey, yeah, we got your email. We don't really care, The other one.
Yeah, and it's like, what do I do next with it? I mean, what can I do? But I'd certainly encourage you to read that that post from Lauren. Again, we're going to be sending these slides out, so you'll see it at some point. But that post from Lauren's great, and I've actually been talking to clients more and more about rethinking the onboarding. Making a welcome message more of an onboarding campaign.
All right.
And that just flows in that, as Lauren talked about in that post, this idea of getting to know your subscribers based on the different actions they take. The reason for that is then you can start to segment and really send one-to-one messages. And I've been saying this for years, this idea of sending timely, targeted, valuable emails. And the key to this section is targeted. So, if we look at a couple examples here of what a targeted message might look like, a year or so ago I bought my wife a Nook. And immediately after buying that Nook, the very next message I got from Barnes & Noble was telling me to fill that Nook. And what's great about this kind of message, obviously I'm thinking about the Nook right away because I had just purchased it. And it gets me back into Barnes & Noble. And I mean, it almost forces me to click through. And clearly this is a one-off, well, I shouldn't say a one-off message, but it's definitely a personalized message for me because I had just purchased. So they ran some kind of segment of those who had just purchased Nooks and sent this just to that group. If you look at the next slide, another example of personalized content is, I signed up for ESPN today, and you can see there's the top half of the email, and then you can see the bottom. Clearly I'm a Michigan fan, and I'm a Giants fan.